Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Brent and welcome to my very first LibGDX Toolbox tutorial. So these Toolbox tutorials are going to be generic little modules that you can take right from the tutorial and implement in your game. So if you're interested in learning quick little fascinating tips, stick with me. So in this tutorial, we're going to be creating a controller overlay for our game so we can control the player inside of our game. So you can see here we have a little square and that's going to represent our player. And then when we click on these buttons, the player moves. So if you're interested in learning how to do that, stick with me. So before we get started, I need to show you what we're going to start with, and that is basically a box 2D world with two different bodies, a ground and a player body. And so basically we just have an overlay demo that extends the application listener for LibGDX. If you don't know about this, you probably will want to go check out my previous tutorial series on Super Mario Brothers or Flappy Birds or something like that, because this is not meant to be a basic introduction. This is meant to be a addition to a game that you've already created. So we have a camera, a fit viewport, a sprite batch, a box 2D world. We are using the box 2D debug renderer to draw our debug lines. We create the ground and create the player. So there's two methods right here. This creates the ground. It's basically a polygon shape that we set as a box to set the width of the screen. We create the fixture there. The player is basically the same kind of deal, except it's a dynamic body instead of a static body. Static bodies don't move. Dynamic bodies do move, or are affected by gravity. We have our shape. It's a 40 by 40 box. And then what else do we do here? We set up our resize function. So when we resize the screen, it resizes the viewport. The first, inside of our render method, we call update, which I've just separated the update and the render logic, basically. We take a world step, which is something you learn about in Box 2D. We make sure that we set our camera to the center of our screen and update it. We clear the screen and we render our debug lines. So let's show you what all that looks like. So here we go. We got a red screen. That is the clear color. We have a ground static body, and we have a player square body that is currently sleeping, and that is why it is gray. So let's get started with our controller. We're going to create a new Java class and call it controller. This controller is going to have some variables here. A viewport. Make sure you import the bad logic one. A stage. Scene 2D stage. Import that. We're going to have some Boolean values for up pressed, down pressed, left pressed, and right pressed. And then we also need an orthographic camera, and we're going to call that cam. Let's create our constructor here, public controller, and we are going to initialize these. Cam equals new orthographic camera. Viewport equals new fit viewport, and we'll pass it in the width and the height of the screen that we want, or the aspect ratio. 800 by 480, and pass it our camera. We'll set the stage equal to new stage. And then we need to set the stage. Stage is an input listener. So basically all of the input, clicks and typing and all that kind of stuff can be redirected to the stage, and the stage can handle it. So we'll say gdx.input.set input processor to our stage. One thing I forgot here, inside our stage, we want to pass in our viewport and then our overlay demo.batch, because we don't want to create multiple sprite batches. Now let's look in our assets folder, and I want to show you that I have 4 different images, 20 up, down, left, and right buttons. And remember that these are in the Android assets folder. So if you've never used Scene 2D before, basically a stage is a container for actors, so like little widgets basically. The main actor in our overlay is going to be a table, and the table can hold even more actors inside of it, and those actors will be images for our buttons. So let's create those now. So we're going to say table equals new table. Then we're going to say table.left, which will align it to the left. And then we'll also say bottom, which will put it in the left bottom corner. So let's create our first image. Image up image equals new image. And that takes in a new texture. And it is the flat dark 25.png. Then we're going to set its size. So up image dot set size to 50 by 50. Now when somebody clicks on this button, we want it to fire an event, and we can do that by saying up image dot add listener new input listener. And then what we're gonna do is we'll click on this and generate. And we are going to look at the override methods, and we want the touch down and touch up events. So inside of our touch down event for our up button, we're going to set up pressed equal to true, and then we're going to say return true. You have to return true for touch down if you want touched up to fire. So in touched up, we're just going to say up pressed equals to false. Hopefully that makes sense. When we press the button, up is pressed, and when we release the button, up isn't pressed. Now to save time, I've gone ahead and duplicated this for the down image. I've set its size to 50/50. I've put down pressed to true when it's touched and down press to false when it's let go. I've done the exact same for the right image and the left image. So just update those, don't get confused. Now what we want to do with our table is put these images into our table. Now we want our table to kind of look like a tic-tac-toe board, so 9 cells. The top left will be empty, the top middle will be our up button, and the top right will be empty. The middle left will be our left button, the middle will be empty, and the middle right will be our right button, and then so on and so forth for the last layer. Only the middle button on the last layer will be our down arrow, so let's do that. Now let's add everything to our table. We need to add an empty cell first, remember, so table.add, we'll add an empty cell, then table.add our up image, and then we're going to set the size to our up image dot get width and up image dot get height. Then we need to add another table dot add, which will add the top right as an empty cell, and that's our first row. Now our second row, we're going to say table dot row, and what we want to do with this row is we want to pad the top, the bottom, and the left and the right. So we're going to pad the top of it by 5, the left by 5, let's space these out, 5 and 5. So this puts padding around this row 5 pixels in all directions. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this line. We're going to paste it here, except this will be the left image. And we'll do this here, and then left. Now the middle one is going to be empty, so table.add, and then we'll need the right image. Right. And that's it. Second row done. Our third row, we just want to pad from the bottom because it's just going to be touching the bottom down there. So we're going to say table.row and then .pad bottom, and then we'll just say 5 pixels there. Now let's add an empty cell, so table.add, and then a new image. This one's going to be the down button. So let's change these, down and down, and then a table.add. We'll complete our final row. Now we just need to add our table to our stage. So we'll do stage.addActor and our table. So let's create a new method so we can draw our controller to the screen. Public void draw, and we'll just say stage.draw. I'll scroll to the top here, click on generate, and we're going to generate getters for our up, down, left, and right press so we can get them from our overlay demo. So there we go. It just basically returns the value of those Boolean values. Finally, the last method we have to do is a resize method. So when a screen gets resized or like rotated on your phone, that the stage can update. So public void resize takes in an int width, int height, and then we'll just say viewport dot update width height. There we go. Okay, so let's go back to our overlay demo here. We're gonna create a new controller, and we'll say controller equals new controller. If I can do it right. Scrolling down to the resize method, whenever our game resizes, we need to resize our controller as well. So controller dot resize width and height. So to save some time inside of our handle input, I've put a little logic in. You guys should be familiar with this. Basically, it's just checking to see if the controller says that is right is pressed. So if the right button is pressed, then we're going to set the box2D body's velocity to 1 and keep the velocity in the y-axis. Otherwise, if left is pressed, we're going to set it to -1, go the negative direction. Otherwise, neither one of those are pressed, so we want to stop our player. And then if up is pressed and the linear velocity is equal to 0, which means he's not moving up or down, which means he's sitting on the ground, then we can jump. And so we give him a linear impulse in the middle of its body that pops him up in the air. The final thing we need to do is inside of our render method, we'll say controller.draw, and now we can test it. So hitting the run button, you should see our freaking awesome little joystick keypad thing over here. If we hit the up button, it bounces our player up. If we hit the right, it goes right, and left goes left. Our down button doesn't do anything because in this game, it's not needed, but of course you could program logic to it. So yeah, we did it. Okay, I can already see the question, Brent. I only want the controller to show when my player is playing on a phone or something like that. Okay, inside the render method, we'll say if gdx.app.getType equals Android. We'll just use that. Then that's only when we draw our controller. So if we run it now, we can see that our controller will no longer render. And even if we click on it where it should be, there's nothing there. And we can test this on the Android too. So I don't know if you guys can see this. I don't want to put it too close because it'll mess up my green screen. But there is now a joypad on the Android device, but of course not on our desktop. So we totally did it. Because I know somebody's going to undoubtedly ask, if you don't have a keypad on your desktop, how do you move or anything like that? So we can set that inside of our controller here. Remember, I told you a stage was an input listener itself, so we can add listeners to the stage itself. So I've gone ahead and wrote some code. I'm going to just paste it in here. What we're going to do is, let's make sure we bring in all that. So we say stage.addListener when a key is down instead of when it's like clicked or something like that. When a key is down, we do a switch statement on the key code to see if it's the up key, the down key, the left key, or the right key. And then similarly to clicking on something, all we're doing is we're setting our Boolean values to up pressed. And then when the key is released, then we set it to false. And that is all it takes. Running in now, we don't have a keypad, but I can control it with the arrow keys on my keyboard. Yep, we're awesome. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this very first LibGDX Toolbox tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what I could improve on or something like that. If I need to make these videos a little bit shorter. Since they're like standalone videos, I kind of have to make them a little bit longer than my previous tutorial series videos. I hope you guys understand. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, go ahead and post them below. I'm pretty good about getting back to everybody. If you like that video, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe, but most importantly, please share it. Trying to grow this channel, and you guys have been an amazing help. If you're feeling generous, check out my Patreon page. I give you 2 big thumbs up for that. I appreciate everybody watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.